All right, I was not expecting to do a live stream at this time. I was getting ready for bed. It's 3 a.m. on the East Coast, and I was expecting to go to sleep and wake up tomorrow to... All right, I was not expecting to do a live stream at this time. I was getting ready for bed. There we go. Yeah, I was expecting to go to sleep and wake up to find out what this Ableton Move is. But I was on the Ableton Discord and somebody says it's out on Sweetwater. And I thought, okay, like Sweetwater is a reputable source. There have been some little bits and pieces coming out lately and photos, and nobody really knew if they were accurate or not. But it is out on Sweetwater. Let's just look here. And they actually have... I'm just going to show you in a minute here. They have a whole long description of what's in there. Like there's a really good description. No videos yet, obviously, but yeah, we should know, I'm guessing within a few hours when Ableton puts it on their website. But in the meantime, we have this, and I'm so excited. I don't know why. I've really been waiting for this. I've actually been looking for something like this for a while that I can use on the couch to make some tracks. And one of the problems is you're building something, and then you got to figure out how to bring it into Ableton and keep working on it there, because you can't necessarily make the whole track on there. But well, you can, but you know, I'd rather go in and fix the stuff on Ableton. This looks like it's completely it works really well in Ableton. It's I can't think of the word. It's 3 a.m. But yeah. Okay, let's have a look. First of all, the pictures is pretty well what people were sort of expecting in the last few days. The tiny screen, which is the only... I don't know. We'll make it work. And this, I was surprised. I did a video the other day about what I was expecting might be on there. And it's pretty close to what I had as an idea, but it's got more pads. I was saying the knob isn't necessarily... like it's not a necessity, but it would be nice to have. They do have the knob on there. The transport controls down here. And so we've got the 32 pads, which is nice. You can get a few octaves out of that. And this stuff here, they don't really say what they are. And the little buttons at the bottom. Oh, I'm noticing there's a little line on every fourth one. So I'm assuming that's for drums, to do sequencing for drums, which is sort of interesting because I was expecting to have to do that on the pads. So that's a nice little thing. 4 tracks and the knobs here to do a whole bunch of stuff. And we've got I'm assuming that's the mute buttons, maybe for different tracks. Anyways, we've got some stuff here that we can that we could deal with. The up and down, left and right arrows. There's no select in the middle, which would be nice to have, but there may be a reason for that. So anyways, let's, and then, oh yeah, so we can look at some of the other pictures. It apparently comes with a USB-A cable and a USB-C. The USB-A is for MIDI, and the USB-C is for power and to plug it into your computer. It is wireless as well. So basically you're able to build your track on here and then transfer it over to your to Ableton Live and work like seamlessly in there. We'll look at that. We'll look at that in a minute. But this I'm sort of disappointed about is the outputs. The input and output are just little they're 3.5 millimeter, like eighth of it. It's not like a 1/4 inch. It's a small ones, like for earbuds. So which the reason I don't like that is they tend to break sometimes and stuff. So sometimes the connection gets it stops working there. Like a 1/4 inch connection will last a little bit longer, but hopefully these will last a while. The audio in, the output, there's only one output, so it's either headphones or you can use it as a line out and plug it into a speaker or something. I would probably even use a guitar amp and just have the sound coming through there. But you can apparently take the output and plug it back into the input. And you're saying it doesn't seem like a fair price, which I know what you mean by that. This is where I was expecting it to be. I was hoping it would be a little bit less. And yeah, you can get the whole Ableton DAW, but this is standalone. And that's what makes it, I guess, more expensive and makes the value there. Like if people are comparing it to some of the boxes that are available and stuff, are, some of them are quite a bit more expensive, especially that you can build the whole track on there. It's standalone. It's not just a MIDI controller. But you're right. I mean, like $500 isn't, it's not cheap. And then, there's just a couple different views of it and the sides for some reason. And then, this. Okay. So let's look at the description here. And they're saying you can bring it with you. I saw somebody saying the battery lasts 3 hours. I have no idea where they saw that. It's not anywhere on here. But yeah, it is battery powered. It is completely standalone. So they keep mentioning this 1500 sounds. So there's 1500 preset sounds built in. The other thing that I am concerned about is they say the memory is 64 gigs. And 64 isn't that much, right? They've got these sounds in there already. So I guess you're basically building stuff and moving it over, but it would have been nice if you had either more or there was some way to put an SD card in or whatever, but it doesn't look like there is that. But they do say 1500 preset sounds. I'm wondering if we can zoom this in. There we go. 1500 preset sounds, instruments, effects, and you've got, from what I understand, you've got 2 effects per track, and then you've got the master effects. So it gives you a lot of stuff to play with. And okay, so sketching on the go, getting your track started, and they keep mentioning this 1500 sounds and instruments. And I don't know if the instruments, like the synths, are some of the synthesizers like from Ableton that you can actually work with and do the adjustments. But yeah, so, and the 4-track is the bigger menus. Okay. Or the bigger minus. Yeah, like 4 tracks is sort of limiting. Yeah. You're able to get stuff done. And I've had to do stuff with less than 4 tracks, like way back. You would actually have a 4-track recorder, and then you'd have to, like, once you use your 4 tracks, you'd have to send 3 of them to the 1 track, and you'd be like ping-ponging back and forth. So you'd send those 3 to the 1, which was mono, because you only have, and then you're like stuck moving it over. So, I mean, you can do quite a bit with 4 tracks if you need to, but it could be a little limiting. But hopefully you can do a whole bunch of stuff on each track, like with the drums and stuff. So supercharged sampling. So yeah, you can use this audio input to record, I'm guessing, a line in. I don't know if you could plug a microphone. I guess you could technically plug a microphone in. Like, you wouldn't have phantom power. You couldn't use a condenser mic, but you could use a dynamic mic like this one and do that. So yeah, you feel like it's going back. Yeah, a lot of people seem to be disappointed with this thing where, they were expecting a little bit more. The thing I found really interesting is in 2022, I think there was some sort of a leak, and they said, "Oh, that's what this is going to be," and I'm like, no, 2 years later, they wouldn't release something that they built 2 years ago. And it's funny because I told my wife, and she says, yeah, well, with everything that happened in the last few years, maybe stuff like slowed down in some places. And like, this is basically the same thing that was was leaked a few years ago. So, yeah, and I guess like, yeah, this won't replace your DAW. Like, so you would be going back if you don't have Ableton and you're using this instead. But the theory is you're able to start your track and do everything in here. And it's something that they mention a bit later on here, but you can, once you've done your track or you have whatever on here, once you connect it to Ableton Live, you're like starting in Ableton Live exactly where you left off. So it's not sending out stems or anything. It's not sending out audio. It's actually sending out the exact stuff that you're able to do in Ableton Live. So you're able to like do your little, like your, yeah, anyways, you're able to start it here and then just like pick it up right away in Ableton Live and then do a whole bunch of other stuff. So in theory, you could just do the stuff like the effects. You wouldn't want to deal with the mastering effects and all the stuff. You'd want to do the stuff that's actually making a difference to the sound and giving you, like you're doing your sound design in here maybe. And then once you get in there, then you can like finalize it and do the stuff you need to do. So, yeah, samples, presets, drums, live control. And then this is where they talk about the USB ports. So you have the two. If you're not going to use it as a MIDI controller, you probably wouldn't even need the USB-A and just have the Type-C for the power. Built-in Wi-Fi, built-in link. Okay, this is where they talk about that. The seamless set continuity. So you've got the battery, you start your project. Where is it that they mention it? Yeah, here they say you're not sending stems, you're sending a proper Ableton project file. Every detail, each parameter, sequence, effect, automation, aftertouch, everything is in there. So you're like, it's literally an Ableton Live track in your DAW. So true standalone. So yeah, this basically covers a lot of the stuff we talked about. The Arpeggiator and repeat tools. So I guess there's a built-in arpeggiator in there. And Ableton Cloud. And then this is the Sweetwater specific stuff. Yeah, so the display is tiny, very tiny. And you can tell like even the stuff they have on here, like you're really not able to fit a whole lot of stuff. But I guess once you go into these settings, it'll bring up more detailed stuff. A lot of it is muscle memory with these things too. So you're sitting there, and the more you use it, the more it just becomes natural. So you're not even really looking at the screen because you know what you're doing. It looks like a Fruity Loops interface. Yeah, I could sort of see that. Yeah, with the especially with these the drum pads. Yeah, actually, you're right. It's funny because the other day when I was doing the video, I was going to take the Ableton Push and take little bits and pieces of it and put them together to see what it would look like as a smaller one. But I was only expecting 16 pads on here. But I was thinking after I should have done that, because what I would have put together in the parts of the Ableton Push that I would have thought would be useful in here. Like it would look like this, except it wouldn't have the pads on the right. Okay, so yeah, basically, yeah, the inputs, that's the only thing. Those inputs, just the one input, one output. That's too bad there isn't even like one extra one. But 2 pounds, that I noticed was really interesting, because I think I'm going to buy this. And I want to take it on the train that goes from one end of the city to the other and see if I can build a track just from the time, from that first stop to the last stop, see if I can build a track in there. So, yeah, that's one of the videos I have planned once I do buy this. And I'm waiting to see what Ableton is going to do themselves, like price-wise. When you add this to your cart, they actually say that there's an offer because it's a new product. So I think the regular price may end up being like $500, and now they have it $450. I don't know. But anyways, we'll see what Ableton does tomorrow. So And does it have poly? And that's one thing. It doesn't have the MPE, or it doesn't look like it would. Like they would mention it. And these pads, like you can tell, there's like separated pads, like on the push one, which is too bad because it would have been nice to have MPE on here. But how's it standalone with such a small screen? Yeah, that's the thing. Like it is a tiny screen. Like and like I said, I think you end up having that muscle memory. Like once you choose a drum sound or whatever, you're using these here for the pattern, like these at the bottom for the pattern. It shows up weird anyways, but, and so you're doing that, and then you may be doing the adjustments. Like I'm assuming these here, like you'd get used to what they are, like which one the level is, which one, maybe the start, or like the start and the end, if you're able to adjust the length of it. But, yeah. The OPZ doesn't even have a screen, so and it's a lot more expensive, right? So yeah, I think you really do. I'm sure you get used to it, but you're right. No screen, it makes it. Yeah, I feel like it's going to be limiting. The thing is, a smaller screen hopefully gives it more battery life, and so that'll be nice if this thing can last a little while, because the push 3, the standalone mode, I think you get a couple hours out of it and that's it. So if you can get a little bit more with this, it'd be great. And yeah, it is intuitive probably, because like you really do get used to these things. Like if you had like drum machines, if you look at a 909 drum machine, you're sitting there and like you get used to pressing one thing, it does something else, and whatever, and each button does a whole bunch of different stuff depending on what you're doing, and I'm assuming the screen will tell you, which mode you're in. But yeah, well, that's a good way to see it. If the no screen is freedom, if you're that's true. If you're it could be freeing because you're not making music with your eyes. And like, it'll be interesting to see if it's one of those things where you're really just able to get your track started and then you have to finish everything up in Ableton Live, or if you're really able to do a whole track. Like, I think that depends on the person using it too. Like if somebody's really, really creative and learns every single button, what each button does, because these here, like the knobs at the top here, if you're using it on push, like you're able to tell on the screen what each of them do. But over time, you sort of get used to what they do in each plugin. So I'm assuming it'll be the same thing with this. And like, it is a tiny screen, but like, depending on how much they fill it, I think they could, like, there might be more that you could do with this screen. Like, there's space for an extra line there and stuff. So maybe we'll be able to do a lot more than we expect, especially if you're able to see a waveform on here and do the adjustments. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see once. I'm sure Ableton is going to have a video showing what you can really do with it, and that'll be probably in a few hours. I want to refresh this just in case. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let's look at this. I wasn't expecting this. Yeah, let's watch the release video. This is on the Ableton Move, like the Ableton website. Trust your instinct. Let's watch the video first. Wow, I wasn't expecting this to come out so quickly. I'm just going to turn on the audio. Let me know if you can't hear this. I like that. Oh, there we go. hold on. Let's look at the screen. The funny thing is, one of the ideas I had for a video when I get this is I want to take it to a library and see if I can make music there. Because you throw your headphones on. Okay, so you see, we can fit like 3 lines here of stuff plus a few icons and stuff. So, okay, that's a start. Like, I mean, that'll be long to scroll to find one sound, but still. See, that's what I want to do.
Está increíble. ¿Estás viendo este tamaño?
Made in 10 seconds. I like this idea on a long road trip. Oh, there we go. That's what I was hoping. Sorry to keep stopping it here, but I missed it here. So you can tell the kits, and then you can tell the there was even the icons on there that we could tell a little bit what they do. Okay, but anyways, it looks like you can see the waveforms. Just flashes for a second. There we go. Okay, so I'm assuming, I don't know, I'm assuming this is what, like, these are the different modes that you can use the knobs on, but anyways, okay. Yeah, it is sweet. Like, I want this now. I was wondering about that. If you can load your own drums and samples in. Oops. Yeah, I've been wondering about that because they keep saying the 1500, and I don't think they mention that you can sample stuff, but I don't know if you can, like, it'd be nice if you were able to, even in Ableton Live, if you were able to take some of the sounds and, like, favorite them, have one of your favorites lists or whatever, like, loaded onto there. But I haven't seen anything about that. But either way, yeah, I want this now. I wanted it all along, but okay. So let's see what they say, because we saw what they had on Sweetwater, and I don't know what price you guys have. Can you guys check? Like, mine's $5.99 because I'm in Canada, but I'm wondering what their US price. $5.99. That's really good, because even the Sweetwater one is more than. So it's probably 500 or 4. Yeah, it's probably 450 as well, because the Sweetwater price came up to like $613 for me, and then I had to pay the shipping because you don't have free shipping to Canada, and then you have to get the upgraded shipping because it was only a few bucks more, but because the upgraded shipping includes some of the brokerage fees and all that stuff. So $450 US. Okay, so they're all selling at the same price. Okay, well, I'm glad I didn't buy it. I almost bought it on Sweetwater like an hour ago or half an hour ago. €450 too. So which one's a better deal? Because I know they're close, like US and Euro, but which one's a little bit cheaper? Or are they pretty close? I'm trying to think here. I'll do €450 in USD. $494. So the US is a little bit cheaper. No. Yeah, I don't know. It's too late to do math, but anyways. Okay, so yeah, trust your instincts. That's what they have here. Okay, you think US is cheaper. I think you're right. Standalone and portable. It's funny that Sweetwater has so much information in the, like on here, there's really not that much. And some people were saying the wording on the Sweetwater site isn't the normal Ableton wording. So they were wondering if, Sweetwater did their own text for it or whatever. Oh yeah, that's right. It depends on the tax too. Cause yeah, even if the US is, it would add up and stuff. So, and then I know the VAT or whatever adds up. So, create faster than you can think. Okay, here. Oh, there's more videos here. Let's check these. I'll try not to talk through them. 4 flexible tracks. Turn any of the 4 tracks into drum kit, sampler, or synthesizer. I'm really wondering if you can like access a lot of the stuff from a synth, like if they have operator almost built in there, and then once you bring it into Ableton Live, you're able to keep working on it. But because these knobs would do a whole bunch, like if it's set up well, and like it would take some practice, but you could probably do almost everything in operator in here. But okay, let's check this video here. Just a short one. So this is about the 4 tracks. I want this. It feels like you could be really creative with this stuff, because when you think about it, like if you're sitting in Ableton Live, like you just have so much that you can do. You're like, okay, what should I do next? But like just having those limitations sometimes makes you more creative. 16 pitches for drums. 16 pitches, which is interesting. It's not just the velocity.
And go.
I like that. Okay, this is really interesting here. Where was it? This part here where he just takes that second knob and turns up either delay or some sort of like it's basically chopping it up. But you can tell like each of the knobs seems to do something different. And I don't know if you decide what they do or if, it's based on the instrument or whatever, but and I like how like quickly he'll switch from one thing to another, which you can do on push. You can just switch between tracks if you have them set up, but I'm assuming on here it's a little bit like quicker. Once you've got your sound set up, it's easy to switch through. I think that those limitations on here, the more I think about it, I think those will be really nice to have. Learn how to use Move. Is that? I'll open that in a different tab, but ready to play. Wow, they did a lot of videos. But you're not really seeing so far like what you can really do with it. They're just like the music they use is great. It's great, well-produced videos, but we haven't really learned like what it really does. Well, maybe that's what, I guess that tab I just opened is probably. Is this the same one we saw earlier? See, this is the type of music I make and I love it. So you're using I never even thought of that. Like the MIDI, I was just thinking of MIDI back and forth to your DAW, but it's true. You can use MIDI and connect it to other. Oh, wait a second. I'm able to tell a little bit about this screen. Okay. She switches. Okay, so I'm assuming this is probably one of the effects. So you've got your effects. So you can switch. This is probably the modes for your knobs and stuff. So I feel like it's only useful if you're on the go all the time. Since I work from home and already have the push 2, I don't really need it. Yeah, I agree. Like if you're like, I have the push sitting here and it won't really do much here. For me, it'll be on the couch. Like once in a while I'm sitting there and I'd like to just like sit there and start working on something. And for me, it's practicing like drum patterns. I find that a lot of the, you're doing the same drum patterns all the time. So I want to have something where, and I've been looking for a while. I was looking at the Korg, Volca Beats and stuff. But they didn't have MIDI out, which to me was sort of important because I wanted to build stuff and then be able to bring it in. But that's where, like, for me would be useful would be just sitting around outside of like this desk and seeing if I'm able to build stuff or practice little patterns or just try to find some creative things I can do. Even with a sampler, like recording something, you take it, you record something around the house, or if you're someone's house or outside or whatever, and then you're able to work with it. So that'll be sort of interesting. Like I'm wondering, if you're taking a long trip on to your DJ set, like you could use this on an airplane. You could use it if you're waiting for a meeting or something, like but it's one of those things where like you wonder if you have all these plans to use it, and then once you get it, you do that twice, like you go out with it twice and then it just sits there, or if it's something that will just become part of how you're making music. I really like the fact that like it's so incorporated with Ableton Live that I feel like sometimes these machines, it's like the track you're making is almost wasted because then you're taking it and you're almost starting back at zero when you're bringing it into your DAW. But this one, like you just continue right in the DAW. And I'm assuming, I wonder if that goes both ways though. Like, I guess it wouldn't, because if you go into your DAW, you add something on Serum, like you won't be able to use it back on there, and you're not able. So that's a limitation, but so it's sort of one direction. But okay, so we saw this one, free sampling. See, because the microphone, I don't know if you guys saw the microphone. It's like a little tiny microphone, like almost like the microphone on your phone. So I don't know, like obviously you won't get great quality, but I don't know if the quality is like half decent even. Like it'll be more useful for some stuff than others, but oh yeah, if you're working 10-hour shifts and you have like downtime and like to make music, like it could really help you make music in that wasted time wherever you are, right? It would only have like, it wouldn't have Serum itself, but it would be nice if like you were able to work on stuff in something else and then bring it back to there, like even bring the audio back and do something, or I guess even bring the MIDI back and use one of the internal synths and like continue stuff a little bit back and forth. But they do have Ableton plugins are really good. And I'm thinking about that more and more. Like I have a lot of plugins, like hundreds and hundreds, and I got a new computer. There's a bunch I didn't even install, but I have so many old projects that I need this plugin for that or whatever. And I'm getting really annoyed with like having plugins and they do an update and you're not able to use it anymore because now it's on version 2. I just had that with Kickstart that I use in a lot of tracks. And I'm thinking sometimes, like I'm wondering if I could handle being just in Ableton Live, like have you use just the stock plugins. It'd be just so freeing because you get a new computer, you just start it and all your projects load up, right? So yeah, Fab Filter and stuff. They do some nice. I actually don't even use them very much, but everyone I know swears by them. Okay, let's watch this one here. EQ8 is amazing, you're right. Okay, this is the recording one. That is interesting. I mean, you'll look sort of funny, like holding your Ableton Move up to stuff to record it, but I do like that idea. And it's funny because they keep going to train stations. I don't know if you guys were here at the beginning, but that's one of the things I want to do. Once I buy this, I want to do a video of like taking the first stop to the last stop in my city of the train, and see if I can build a track just from one end to the other, on a track, I guess. But yeah, like recording those external sounds as you're walking around. But then again, you wouldn't be walking around with that out. Like, and if you're going to do that, I guess you could record it on your phone, but then you got to transfer. Like, it's sort of nice that once, like, whatever you record in there is in there already. And it's like literally in your DAW the second you connect to it. Because obviously these sounds will transfer as well, like not just the MIDI. Well, I'm hoping, but I'm sure they do. So that's sort of nice that like, you're doing a bunch of creative stuff in there, and as soon as you sit down, like with a more advanced tool like the full DAW, you can use everything you did already. You're not sitting there transferring stuff, and so that'll be sort of nice. Okay, and I think that's. Oh no, there's more. Add some color, built-in audio effects, reverb, delay, saturator. I mean, those are, and you need an EQ at least, or a filter, just the, low pass, high pass filter. Koala is better for walking around collecting samples. I don't think I know about Koala. I'm going to look that up. Thanks. I'll look that up. Continue where you left off. Okay, so this is where they talk about transferring stuff. I mean, they don't really say a lot in some of these videos, but they give us little bits and pieces. Yeah, it won't take long for the reviews. Do you guys use Ableton Note? Like, I don't know how incorporated this is with Ableton Note, and I don't know if that works the same way. I tend to do everything right in Ableton Live, but okay, so that didn't really tell us a whole lot. Create and perform with live, and that's the thing too. Like, if you do live shows and you've already got a bunch of gear and you want something to just launch a few different scenes and stuff, like this could be good for launching clips and whatever, if that's what you need. Connect and play with the headphones, which still bugs me that there's just that one output. I really like to have a second one. And thanks for the suggestion for the Koala. It's a phone music making app. I'm going to check that out. And yeah, those limitations, like, I don't know. I'm finding lately, I just get more plugins, and you get to use each one just a little bit. And yeah, you can do like interesting stuff quickly, but you can do like one interesting thing quickly with this one. I think I'd like those limitations. Tactile control, 32 backlit pads. I mean, each pad responds to pressure independently, I would hope. Do we want to see the tech specs? I can load that in another tab and see. Okay, what's in the box? Yeah, it's what we saw in that other picture. And then it includes 12.1 intro. So if, you're not using Ableton Live at all. And one thing I noticed with the push, if you buy this and you already have, like, I've got the Suite version, but I don't know if they do it the same with this, but on the push, if you buy it, it says, I'll just use my license. And then it says, or do you want to buy a license? But if you go to, I want to buy a license, the intro is free. So it's like the default is nothing. And then you can at least get the intro license and, you've got a second license or whatever. So do whatever you want with it. But free practice lessons for melodics. No, it's not MPE. And that's what, like, I'm sad about that. You can tell because you can tell with the pads, they don't have that white in between where they're all connected. And like if it was MPE, I wouldn't be sitting here talking. Like I would have ordered it already because I'm using an older push. But yeah, MPE would be really nice. I'm doing more and more of the MPE stuff. Like you can draw it in the DAW, but it would be nice if it had it in here. But it is Aftertouch, yeah, and that makes a difference. But the MPE would be really nice, not just for like the bending chords, but I don't know if you know this, but the MPE, if you've got a drum pad and you choose an MPE kit, where you press on the pad will actually be different. Like you'll get different sounds depending on where you go, like left and right, and up and down. So it's basically like if you load up a bunch of similar hi-hats and you pitch a few of them down and you fix them all up, but it's all like they're all matched sounds. So as you move around on the pad on that one little pad, you can get a bunch of different sounds. So it'd be nice if it was in here, but yeah, it really does. Like if you look at it, I don't know if you guys can, I don't want to lift this, but it really looks like the Push 1. I'm assuming the buttons, there's a big difference between the Push 1 and the Push 2 on like the feel of it. But I'm assuming, the buttons feel nicer than on the Push 1, but it does have the same look. Yeah, like I've been hesitating on that too, between the Push and like Push 3 and this. I really like the idea of being able to go out and do stuff with it though. Oh, there we go. So this, that tab where they said learn to use it, getting started with the views, making a new set, browsing for instance, like which one do we want to see? So I don't have to watch all of them. Like which one would be the most useful? Playing an instrument? Do you like the Push 3? Like, I'm sort of regretting not buying it when it came out. Like, I mean, I could buy it now, but it's a type of thing where I should have gotten it right away and enjoyed it, because like their hardware lasts so long. Like they'll do updates and they keep, like even the Push 1, like there's still the new updates. If it can work on the Push 1, it'll work on it. Obviously, there's some stuff that just physically can't, but yeah, I agree with that with Ableton Lite. Like I do have the Suite version, but I feel like at that price with the standalone, yeah, I do agree that especially like the software, each piece of software doesn't cost as much, even though there are costs and with all that. But realistically, like they have, those bigger costs, but if somebody is paying that much for the standalone, yeah, you're right. I think they should get at least the standard version, but, and the 2-hour battery for standalone, but I wouldn't use it as standalone. That's a thing. Like bringing it, like it's heavy. You like it? Okay. That's like, I think I'm going to get it at one point. I remember doing a video at the beginning. I was like, I don't think I'm going to buy it. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, no, I think I want this. And I had used it when it came out, and it is really nice to use. Okay, let's watch playing an instrument.
Let's learn how to play the different instruments on Move. When you first start Move, you'll see the set overview. If you are working on a set and would like to return to set overview, you can always press the Shift button in step 1 to get back to the set overview. Let's make a new set. I'll press an unlit pad and then press one of the track buttons. Now I'm in a new set. You'll notice that when the different tracks are selected, the layout of the lit pads changes depending on the instrument. On Move, there are different ways to play drum tracks and melodic instruments, like bass, synthesizers, and pads. Let's take a look at the first track, which contains a drum rack. For drum kits, the 16 pads on the left side...
I'm sorry to keep stopping this, but this is what, like we were saying earlier, where it ends up being sort of automatic, is when you press something, you can tell automatically that it's a drum pad compared, and just like on the push, the pads look different when you're using drums or an instrument. So I think it'll just get automatic where like you don't even need the screen. You just know what you're doing based on
plays back
what
a drum
you see.
sample.
I like that you can see the waveform.
You can use the pads to tap out your drum beats. The other instruments, like bass, pads, and synths, are melodic instruments. Each pad in the melodic interface corresponds to a note. There are
wonder
two
if there's
melodic
scale
layouts
mode in
to
here.
choose between, in-key and chromatic mode. To switch between these modes, press Shift and step 9.
Oh, wait a minute. Do you guys see that?
And step 9.
Look at the bottom. When he does that, when he presses that button, like it looks like there's nothing at the bottom. Oh, hold on. It looks like there's nothing at the bottom, but...
Choose between in-key and chromatic mode.
Just look
To
at that
switch between these
whale.
modes, press Shift and
There
step
we
9.
go.
The in-key layout
Okay, so it does
features
have
only
scale
the
mode.
notes of the selected key and scale. Colored pads represent the root notes, while the remaining scale notes are lit white. This ensures that every note played is in harmony with the key set. You can view and change the key and scale from the Scale menu by pressing Shift and step 9. In this example, the key is in F and the scale is major.
So how do you change it to minor?
For my bass line, I want to use the in-key layout. I'm going to
Yeah,
change
that
the
is
key
nice.
of the set by pressing Shift and step 9 and selecting E using the wheel. I could also change the scale to a variety of different scales if I want, but for now, I'll stay with the major scale.
I love that they put the wheel on there too.
For my synth, I want to use the chromatic layout. Once again, I will press Shift and step 9, and I will change from in-key to chromatic. In the chromatic layout, root notes are colored, and
Did he say no, you can't choose the key for each track, right? Well, I guess you wouldn't need to. Anyways,
notes
okay, never mind.
are lit white, similar to
It could be
in-key
useful
mode.
for some stuff, but
However, unlit pads represent notes outside the key but within the scale. I like chromatic mode for constructing chords because I can find unique note combinations beyond the scale.
yeah, they have that on push. Oh, but having that on standalone mode will be nice. But how is the APC 64? I haven't used it. It's one of them that I've looked at over the years, and or is that the one? It's been out for a while, right? Anyways, it's one of the Akai ones. Session. Okay, well, this is more useful than we thought. So, do we go? We'll go making a beat and recording. So the same thing as this last one.
Let's make a beat with Move. You can record clips using the record button, the step sequencer.
Yeah, the
or with
quantization. Do any of these buttons? Yeah, the quantize. I'm using that constantly, especially on the push, because you've got the quantize, and the groove in it is really what do they call it? The swing, swing amount is really. It's. I hardly ever use the groove pool. Like I end up using the swing settings on there, but.
capture button. Let's go to set
I'm gonna
overview
check
by
the
pressing Shift and
APC64
step
too.
1.
I love that at the
I'll
bottom.
make a new set by pressing a pad, then pressing a track button.
So
Then
it's
I'll
like
use
having a
Move's browser to pick
bunch of
instrument
screens.
presets I like. I can adjust the tempo of the set.
So I don't know what these at the there's the knobs at the top, but the lights change depending on what you're doing. So I don't know if they're like programmed in for each sound. There's, you know, the third one will be the wet dry for the delay, and the other one will be the reverb, and or like
Holding
they seem to
Shift
change for each one. So they're probably programmed in
step
based on
5,
the sounds.
and adjust the tempo using the wheel.
So tempo, we're getting closer to the quantize.
I'll start my beat by recording drums using the record button. I'll turn on the metronome by pressing Shift and step 6 to help keep time. Then I'll use the record button to start and stop recording. I get 4 beats of count in before the recording starts.
And yeah, you can use it for clips, they say. I love the little waveforms on the screen.
If I don't like the recording, I can press the delete button to delete that last clip. Let's try again.
This is where you should talk about the quantize if it's in there. I'm sure it is. It's got to be. Yeah, there's extra stuff they could have done. But I do like this.
I can quantize the beat to be more on the grid by holding Shift and step 16.
There we go. And you can adjust, I'm assuming, the percentage because it said 80%. So yeah, it does the quantize. You'll be happy.
To turn off the metronome, I'll hold the Shift button and press the step 6 button. I'm going to make another drum clip. I'll go to session mode.
But you have to hit Shift
and select an
for...
unlit pad.
Did he say to turn the metronome off? You got to press...
metronome, I'll hold the Shift button and press the step 6 button.
That's sort of annoying to have to like press 2 things instead of just, but like obviously you can't have 100 buttons on it, but
I'm going to make another drum clip.
It's better than nothing,
I'll go to session mode and select an unlit pad in the same horizontal lane as the drums. This way, I'm recording a second drum clip instead of recording on top of the one I just made. Now I'll toggle back to note mode. Another way to record is by using the step sequencer at the bottom of Move. There are 16 step buttons, and you can add drum hits or notes to the sequence by pressing the pad for the drum sample and then selecting the step buttons. Let's add some hi-hats.
See, I like the idea of these step buttons at the bottom.
And then clicking every other step button on the sequencer.
So I was assuming you'd have to do that with the pads like you do on push or whatever.
The step sequencer will automatically play, and I'll hear these 16 steps over again in a loop. I'll also add a kick and a snare by selecting the pad and then adding the steps with the step buttons.
Yeah, I like that.
If I want to remove a sound from the sequence, I'll press the pad for the drum sound I want to remove. The step sequencer reveals the selected steps, and I can unclick the step buttons to remove the steps.
It is really well thought out, you're right.
I can also delete all of the steps.
I thought we'd have to go with the pads and do like everything on the pads, and then you're like constantly switching for everything you want to do, but like it's got all this extra stuff at the bottom that we didn't expect. By holding the delete
button and then pressing the pad.
So that's sort of the same thing as in push. Is there an undo though?
The undo button allows you to go back if you change your mind.
Okay, good, because I use undo probably more than anything else. Oh, sorry about that.
I'm happy with the second drum beat. I'd like to record some melodic pads to go with it. I'll continue to hear the active clips in session mode when I change back to note mode. I'll hit the track button to switch to the melodic pads. To record the pads, I'll use the capture button, which remembers the last thing I played and adds it to the clip. I like what I just played, so I'm going to capture that in the clip.
Yeah, they make a big difference. That's why that's a little screen, right?
Now I can hear my melodic pads and my drums playing together.
You
Back
can
in
make
session mode,
you can make a good part of a
I see
track
the new
with
clip
this.
of pads I've just captured. I can play these two clips together by pressing them, make combinations, or stop clips from playing by pressing an empty pad in the same horizontal lane as the instrument.
I didn't see how he switched to the clip mode, but for the person that was asking if it works for that, I guess there's your answer. And I think there is a video on here about that sampling with a microphone. See, that's the one. That's what I'm wondering, like the quality, what it sounds like. So you can use it as the audio input like we saw. Let's try the microphone one.
Move has an internal microphone on the top right that allows you to make recordings up to 4 minutes long and a line-in input for recording. If you're looking to add
4 minutes is really good, because when you think about it, you take this, you record a 4 minute whatever. First of all, nobody even knows, like, you could be recording stuff without being too obvious about it. Like if you're recording, I don't know, a train going by about your microphone, just obviously you've got, with this, you're just sitting there pretending you're making music and you're able to record a few minutes. But like 4 minutes, you take that out, you can split it up into different clips, but you can also like take some of those clips, throw them into Simpler. If you drop a sample into Simpler and you go into slice mode, it just slices it up for you. Like you could create hundreds of sounds in an afternoon with this.
Samples from your collection to move.
No, I didn't see the swing setting, and that's what I'm wondering. Like he did mention the quantization, but I'm hoping it has a swing setting, because that's like, well, I guess hopefully you can set it up. Yeah, you should be able to set it up like so the quantize automatically has a swing applied, but I don't know. There we go. Hold on.
Using a computer, you can do this with Move Manager. In this video, we'll demonstrate sampling mode using the sampling button and line-in input. Let's sample this kalimba. I'll press the sampling button to enter sampling mode right away.
I just wonder what the quality's
will
like.
Automatically change to a melodic sampler, and the pad color changes to red to indicate we're ready to record. After clicking the wheel, you can choose the input source. If no cable is connected, you can choose between mic and resampling.
Yeah, I'm watching this, and honestly, like we were all saying at the beginning, oh, that screen is so tiny or whatever. But like I'm realizing, like even the stuff we're doing there, like maybe we don't need the screen as much as we think we do. Like there's probably a lot of, I have a feeling that like it won't even be that huge a limitation, depending on what you're doing, obviously, with it.
Option uses the internal microphone. And resampling allows you to sample what is being played back by Move's main output. We'll select the microphone. Next, I'm going to scroll over to the gain section and adjust the gain.
Oh, that's interesting. You actually have the meters in there? I wasn't expecting that. Like, that's a nice addition.
To record, either hold the pad or tap the pad to start and stop the recording.
You can record directly to a pad? I just assumed.
The second encoder,
I assumed it was just like you're recording something. Well, I don't know where I thought it would end up, but if you can record each sound going to a pad, especially if you use the input where the quality will be a little bit better, like you could make an instrument really easily.
Let's listen to what we just recorded.
Oh, maybe you're not recording each
automatically
pad.
Takes the sample we recorded and places it into a melodic sampler that allows you to play the same sample in different pitches.
Okay, so they don't really say. Like, I don't know if you're actually using recording to a specific pad or you're recording to a track. So you can either record 4 sounds or like 32. The audio input.
Let's demonstrate recording a sample using the line-in input
This is the same
into
thing,
a drum
but-
pad. I've connected the cable to my phone and the line-in input. I'm in a drum rack. Once connected, I'll press the sampling button. I'll check the volume of the signal.
All those pads do
And
line
adjust the gain using
do
the
load
wheel.
up, so maybe you can record a bunch of different ones.
The pads are red, indicating they're armed and ready to record. To start a recording, I'll press the pad, and to stop the recording, I'll press the pad again. Let's go ahead and record.
Oh, I think you can use each pad for different recording.
Let's listen to what we just recorded.
Now, I'm wondering if you can chop up
I'm
like
going to adjust the sample start
There we
using
go.
the second
That's what I was
encoder
wondering.
to find the beginning of the waveform.
oh wow.
I can zoom in
You can
using
do a
the
lot
shift
on that
button
little
to have
screen.
a higher level of detail. Let's listen to our sample. I can also record over multiple drum pads in a single take. I'll start recording onto a pad and press the next pad the moment I want to switch. To stop recording, I'll press the currently recording pad again.
This is interesting. Yeah. Wow, that's my reaction too. I literally have shivers, like I'm not kidding. Like I'm just thinking of the stuff you could do with this. What?
I'll stop the recording by pressing the sampling button again. Let's listen to what we captured.
Oh man. And then I'm assuming you can pitch that down. Like if you can pitch the sounds down after, like you take this, like just that sound she had, you pitch that down, you've got an interesting sample for, wow. Okay, so I'm realizing that the more I see it used, but see, they're not explaining it very well. Like some of the stuff should be on that page where they mention like what's in it. Like, I don't know. Anyways, that's interesting. And then we had the tech specs. I don't know if there's that much interesting in there. They really did think of everything. Like I'm realizing now that just because it doesn't have that big screen, like I think we'll be able to do a whole lot of stuff with it. Okay, standalone. I was hoping they'd mention the battery life. Like that's a thing, because if it's 2 hours like push, that's not going to be, I mean, it'll be useful, but not as much. But if you can get a good battery life out of it, yeah, like after a month, and once we really see what you could do with it, and they mentioned the 16 pitches for drums. So we watched the video for that, and they didn't really say anything. It lets you play drums and one shots melodically using the 4x4 grid. Drum sound at different pitches. So I'm guessing like the left pads will be, to trigger the drums, and then the right pad would be the pitch, which is sort of interesting, especially if you can do that with your regular sound, like with the sounds you sampled or whatever. Yeah, because I have a feeling that's what's going to happen. Like going through all the options, like we saw a bunch of stuff, and each, like the shift button loads up those little lights at the bottom. Each of those does something different, but it'll do something different depending on what's in there, right? Like it'll do something different depending on if it's an audio sample, whether it's, a synth and you're playing a melody or playing the pads. Like I have a feeling there's a lot of like hidden stuff in there that, like I have a feeling you'll be discovering stuff. You'll use this for a year and then you'll be like, I never realized I could do this. And a lot of the time, especially like with a push, like there's stuff that I do on here that I always go to the screen and I'm still discovering stuff once in a while. And I'm like, I thought I'd used each of these buttons like 100 times, but yeah, we'll get a review, and I'm gonna do some videos about it as soon as I as soon as I get this. I have 3 or 4 like ideas I came up with last night without even knowing like what it would be, because we didn't know, like there were rumors that it would be something like this. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff I want to do about it, because I think it'll be really interesting step sequence. Like there's nothing here. The arpeggiator they didn't really show on the ones we saw. That's one I'm looking forward to, because that'll let you do a lot of stuff like sort of on the go, right? Because if you're sitting there and you have it on your lap, you don't want to be pressing keys like constantly. So the arpeggiator lets you first of all just, you know, press a few keys and then it keeps going, or a lot of the time there's a hold button, so you just press your chord and you can do stuff, and then you can be adjusting the sound while it's running. So I think that could be really useful, especially on something like this that's portable. And the capture button. Oh, the capture button. And that's when you're using Ableton Live, this button up here where you could be playing stuff on push or on your MIDI keyboard, and even when you're not recording, you just play stuff and then you're like, oh, that sounded really good. Like I use this, you know, many times a day, every day. And it does have the capture in it, which is really interesting, because you could be sitting there just playing a few different, you could just really be sitting there doing nothing if you're bored, and then you're like, oh, wait a second, that sounded good. And you can take that and bring it into your track. So that's interesting. They put capture in there. I wouldn't have expected that to be on the standalone one. Like, yeah, MPE would be like, those are the 3 things that I'd love to have. First of all, the screen I thought would have been nice bigger, but that I realized that battery life, like we'd have to give something up at the other end. But those inputs, I'd like them to be either 1/4 inch or have an extra output. And the MPE, and there was something else, I can't remember what the other one, but MPE would be great. But then again, I was worried about this when it came out. I was like, it'll either be a $500 thing or like a $200-300 thing that doesn't really do a whole lot, or it could have been $1,000, like almost as much as, like, I was worried that they would do like the push is what, 1,000, like this would be like 800, just a little bit underneath, where it'd be really, really close to the MIDI controller version of the push. But yeah, like I'm assuming the MPE would have added so much to the cost, but it would be so nice to have on there. Like, yeah, I use capture all the time. Like that's genius. I don't even know like the stuff that would go behind doing that, like, because it's not adding to the CPU. It never really slowed down because it's recording. Like it's not recording that much. Like I guess it doesn't take that many resources, but it's really nice to have that mode. Okay, so the videos are starting to come out now of people doing the reviews on this. Okay, I'm gonna buy this. I'm gonna do a bunch of videos once I get it, but in the meantime, I'll have to see what other people are talking about. But I'm so happy that they updated this while I was streaming, because I was expecting to see that green screen again, and yeah, so it's nice that we know what we're getting into finally. And I'm going to be watching these videos. If you're wondering where they are, if you go down here, learn how to use Move on the Ableton Move page. And that's where there's like these videos I think are going to show us like everything we need to know, or like 80% of it. So yeah, and that's the thing, like it's controlling Ableton, but the biggest thing is like you're taking your track that you're building in here and you're bringing it into Ableton like seamlessly. Like what you're doing on here, if you're adjusting the automation on the filter of a synth, you're bringing it into Ableton, and it's going to be like, I'm assuming Operator or something, and you will have that automation still in there, and that filter, it'll still be controlling that filter. Like you're basically, you're not just bringing, that's what I was saying at the beginning, you're not bringing just the audio in, you're bringing an actual Ableton file. Like you'd technically be able to build, I wonder if you can, I'm wondering if you can send tracks to this. I'm assuming you can, like projects, because in theory, you could, if you use this with nothing external, you could build a track with this, give it to your friend who also has one of these. And if you're able to load a project from Ableton into this, that'd be really interesting because you can send the track back and forth and they work on it. They do a little bit to it. And then you just keep sending that track. So, because it actually does make an Ableton, like the ALS file or whatever. So, yeah, we're going to have to see what they do. And the other thing too is Live 12.1. A lot of people are saying that might come out today too, which I'm hoping, because that has a bunch of new stuff in there too. But like, I don't know if they'll just do the whole shebang at once, or like we're overdue for 12 point. Like, I mean, obviously they're still fixing bugs, but it's been in beta for a while, and the things they're fixing are getting smaller and smaller. I actually thought it would have been out a few weeks ago, so that might be out today too. So we'll have to see. But yeah, it's a sketchbook, but it's a sketchbook that like where your output is usable. So that's what's going to be really interesting. Like, it's not just, you're not just bringing the MIDI and then you're having to throw it on a new instrument in Ableton Live. So it, like, you can actually work. I'm assuming it'll sound exactly the same and you're like starting exactly where you were. So I think it'll be really, 12.1 is out. Okay. Thanks. That's Joao. Thank you so much. I'm excited about that. I'm going to sleep first probably and then install that tomorrow, but there are a few things I want to try in there, especially they added the auto tune type of thing. And what was the other thing? There are a few things in 12.1 that I've been looking forward to. So and yeah, you can use it as a clip launcher. They showed that on one of these. If you go through these videos, at the end of one of the videos that we watched, they mentioned it a little bit, but they do mention, I can probably, no, that's not where. They do mention it. Anyways, they mention it somewhere, but because they do mention it, you can use it as a performance. Is it here? 32 backlit pads. They mentioned somewhere that you can use it for performance. So there we go. Create and perform with Live. Oh, maybe not there. But anyways, yeah, you can use it to launch clips. The only thing though is like when we look at it, where is it? Here. It doesn't look like it has the scenes. That's the only thing. So this might be the scene. Like maybe it's when it's in that mode, you're using the track select buttons for the scene. Like if you use push, you've got your clips, and then on the right there's an extra row which is your scenes. But on this one, that's not how that works. So unless you can use this to launch like the whole row of these, it wouldn't be as useful. But I'm assuming that's what these would be for when that happens. So anyways, I wasn't expecting to get this much new stuff, and I want to thank all of you for being here. This was actually my most interesting live stream I've had so far. So had some great people, and I love when there's a great conversation like that, and like it was great to discover it all together. It's all so new and stuff. So yeah, I'm glad we were able to see this thing, and yeah, I'm gonna get this. If you, I hate to be the, subscribe if you want to hear more, but I plan on getting this, and I plan on doing a bunch of videos about it when I do get it. So yeah, feel free to subscribe and come back to any of the live streams or check out any of my videos. I appreciate you guys being here. And yeah, I was planning on being asleep an hour ago, but I'm actually happier doing this. If I could stay awake, I'd just stay with this all night. So yeah, that's all I needed was extra hardware. Thanks a lot with the grain for the nice comments, and thanks D0 Beats. Thank you for the insight and the questions, because a lot of the stuff, it answered a lot of our questions, because a lot of the stuff, like, we were wondering about these things, and I'm glad they have those the training videos. That's where we really learned a lot more than these, because I find these are just like, they're nice, but they're just, you know, nice ads with music basically. But I'm glad they had those other videos. It's morning there. It's what, 4:22. So I'm always going to bed late anyways. Like I would have been sleeping maybe an hour ago, but so I'm not going like way over, but I'm not usually this awake at this time. But I'd rather do this. I was actually going to do a live stream tomorrow about this when I started to see stuff, and that's why I was thinking earlier. I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll read a little bit for my live stream tomorrow. I'm like, oh no, forget it. I'm going live now. So it was interesting, and I was, like I said, I was so happy that they launched the actual Ableton stuff, so not just the one from Sweetwater. So, anyways, East Coast too. Yeah, it's. Did you sleep yet though, or are you? Basically, are you a night owl or are you a morning person? Because like my stepmom's like waking up now. She probably woke up like half an hour ago. She's starting her day. So, but anyways, thanks a lot for being here. And yeah, I'll do more of these, and we'll learn more about this in the next few days. I'm sure we're going to see a whole bunch of stuff. But I feel like we got a good base of what we can expect with those videos. So yeah. Anyways, I hope I see you guys again. It's been great talking to you guys, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you around next time. All right, have a good night or day, everybody, and go install that 12.1. There's some great stuff in there. So